Running a small business can be very hard. Entrepreneurs wear so many hats: marketer, appointment setter, content creator, consultant. If you're still running your small business on your own, you've just created another job for yourself. Hire help today. Scale your business, attain more clients, and generate more revenue. Let FlexPro Staffing Solutions build your business by hiring a virtual assistant at an affordable cost.
Kesme, she's a queen. This is dedicated to all my beautiful queens, all my beautiful ladies out there. She's a queen. Go queen. You got it, girl. She's a queen. You better represent. Go queen. Go queen. Go. She's a queen about her business. Queen. Working hard on a mission. Yeah. Head high, purpose driven. Purpose driven. Go queen, go queen, go queen, go. Represent, you're a queen, oh.
Thank you guys for joining another episode of the Q Chat. Today, my very special guest is New Orleans' own Miss Melissa McClendon. Melissa is a realtor and she is doing it big. She sold millions in homes, and I'm just so excited to speak with her, just to learn more about her profession, what inspired her, and also what inspiration she has for female entrepreneurs and people just to stay motivated and being an entrepreneur as well. So how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm so happy to talk with you. So again, I was just mentioning how you've done so much in your career and your profession. It's just amazing what you're doing. I wanted to start off by asking you what inspired you to join this real estate profession?
My story is interesting. I actually never thought I would get into real estate. I'd actually gone through a divorce and wanted to sell my house, and I could not afford to do commission. So I got a real estate license thinking I could sell it myself, because I went to school to try and learn the laws and sell it myself. So what happened is I helped my sister, who was my first client. She was buying a house, and I was able to represent her. When I got the check, I said, man, this is a great extra income. I had 2 daughters. I was a single mom. And in my opinion, I was just looking to make some extra money.
Yeah.
But turned into a part-time just thing. I was good at it. I was good at dealing with clients, good at juggling things. So my clientele started to pick up until it was so big I had to quit my job.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I know you just mentioned that you're a single parent. Important was it for you as a single mom? Because I'm a single mother as well, so I know how hard that can be. How important was it for you to find, a lucrative career, something that you can be proud of and also be successful at as a single parent?
Yeah, so that was my motivator, because I had 2 daughters that were looking at me, and I felt like I wanted to, I didn't do everything right. I had my first daughter as a teenager. So I felt like this is an opportunity to make my daughters proud. I want them to see someone that they can look up to, be inspired by. So that was my motivation, that I can become that woman now, even though my choices may not have been the best in the beginning.
Yeah.
I can be that person that they can say, wow, she inspires me. So that was it. That was my why. That was my reason for waking up in the morning. And that kept me going.
That's awesome. And I love how you mentioned that's your reason why. And, in spite of choices, we've all made some choices that, we can look back on, and had we known then what we know now, we definitely would have done things differently. What inspiration would you have? Because like I said, your story is very inspirational. And there's a lot of young women who, became mothers early and are trying to find their way. And sometimes they think that some of the choices, I don't want to use the term mistakes, but some of the choices, that they've made, they sometimes feel like, wow, how can I get past this? What advice or inspiration would you have for some of those young women? Because being a single mother, especially a teen mom, is not the end, but sometimes they may think it at the time. So what would you say to inspire those young women?
I would say you can always reinvent yourself. So we can't change the past, but we can always reinvent ourselves and figure out a way to make something that we thought wasn't good into something that can be phenomenal. So for me, it wasn't the best choice at the time, and it made my life a lot harder. Yeah. But it also made me tough. It made me, it gave me a reason. So I turned that bad into good. Yeah. And so I would just tell young ladies or anyone that's kind of trying to get over some choices they made, if you make it up in your mind, it starts in your mind. If you change your thinking, make up in your mind what you want to do, you can always reinvent yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. It's never too late. You can always start over. You can start fresh. You can achieve those dreams. I definitely believe in that as well. In your profession, have you faced any challenges as a woman or a woman of color in the real estate profession?
Oh yeah. I mean, as a woman, you're working. A lot of my clients were male investors. So you're battling that. You're also as a Black female, your clientele, you may not have the access to some of the clientele that other people have. Yeah. So you're fighting against that. So you may have to work a little bit harder to get yourself out there, or work a little bit harder to get some of that luxury clientele. So yeah, you face those challenges, but I do feel like those challenges can be overcome if we really push to overcome them.
Yeah. That's some good points. And I know like a lot of fields in general seem to be male dominated or sometimes white male dominated. So I know women of color in general, just in, the workplace or in just any profession, a lot of them, they have to, do extra sometimes just to get ahead or achieve the same success, as our male counterparts. So I think that's something that's
every area, a Black female, I think has kind of the disadvantage. So we have to be more educated. We have to be sometimes more aggressive, and it may look negative. We may be called negative things because we are aggressive, but at the end of the day, we're getting things done, whatever it takes.
And I agree with that. And, sometimes we get unfairly labeled, like the angry Black woman syndrome, or as you mentioned, that term aggressive, which I actually agree. Like you have to be aggressive in a lot of different fields, as a woman.
Right.
But from the other lens, it's made negative, being aggressive when it's just basically speaking up for yourself or just being assertive about something you believe in. How do you combat that, not being mislabeled? Because I feel like men are aggressive in business, but they're never looked at in a, some type of way. They're just being themselves. But women, especially women of color, because they're quick to say we're being angry or God forbid, oh, she has an attitude or things like that, just ridiculous mislabels. How do you combat that?
I just always look at it as business. So I try to separate business from personal. And by my demeanor just is naturally, I'm not a in your face kind of person, but in this business, you have to be assertive. You cannot just let people walk all over you. You have to be a negotiator, right? So I have my way of doing that. And then at the end of the day, I look at it as I have to do this. This is business. I'm really sorry if you're offended. That's not the intention, but I can't put the personal in it. And so I have to draw a fine line on personal feelings in business. And I try to remind myself of that to sleep at night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wanted to ask you, because of course you're from my hometown, New Orleans. And right now, obviously, real estate kind of took a lot of shifts and turns after COVID. What is the state of real estate right now? And especially, my beloved city of New Orleans, has it changed drastically since COVID, or is it like, how is the state of real estate right now?
So yeah, we're facing some challenges. During COVID, we had a housing boom. The interest rate was down. There was a lack of inventory. people were paying over list price. There were multiple offers. So we dealt with that lack of inventory. And now what we're dealing with is a higher interest rate, which the whole country is dealing with. But we also have a second issue, which is insurance. In our state right now, we don't have very many providers.
Yeah.
And so the insurance is very expensive. So that's putting some buyers out of the market. They just aren't able to afford it. So we're faced with that. But I think part of being a really good realtor is being a problem solver. So there's options out there. There's buying down the interest rate, or some lenders have programs that help with making the home more affordable. Because home ownership is important. So we're trying to encourage people, don't let that deter you. It's just a hurdle.
Yeah.
It's a hurdle. And there's some things we can do to help offset that hurdle. But you just got to stick with it. Yeah. So I'm still seeing movement. The last 2 months have been really an uptick. The year started off kind of slow, but now April, May, we've seen a lot of business and a lot of people buying homes again.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I wanted to shift and ask you because obviously, you've learned a lot just in your personal and professional experience. Who were some of the role models you had just in your journey, and how important also is mentorship for you to others as well?
Yeah, mentorship. When I first got into real estate, the broker, the first day I met her with coffee, I knew immediately I wanted to be with her. Wanted to work with her, and she took me under her wing and taught me, took her time with me, and I'm always grateful. I eventually opened up my own brokerage with partners, but I owe a lot of my success to her. And other mentors in the business, whether people that have been in the business for many years, maybe they haven't been in a business that long, but they have a higher price point. So there's always ways you can learn from people. So I always try to always be learning. And now I try to give back because, now I'm what's considered an experienced agent.
Yeah.
So we have many agents in our office that are newer. They call and they need advice, and I want to always make myself available so that I can help grow their career as well.
Yeah. How with your journey as well, how did you balance motherhood with being a busy professional? Because I know just being, a single parent and having a booming business and being a, rising professional, I would assume some time constraints. How were you able to balance that?
Yeah, I looked at it as a team thing, and I would talk to my daughters and say they knew that this is what I'm doing for us. It's not just for me. So if I'm working, this is something for us. And I think, I'm sure there were some things that I could have been at and they wanted me to be at and I couldn't.
Yeah.
But I tried to explain that and be there for them as much as I could. And so now they're both realtors. And I feel like that is us bonding as well.
Yeah.
So my kids are adults now, but that's another form of us kind of being on the same team. We're still working together.
How is that feeling that your kids, took on your profession? Because, as a mother, it's one thing, to be a strong mother and be a working mom. I know like in the past, working mothers kind of had like, oh, they're working, you don't have time for your children. But now I think as working mothers, it's so much pride involved in that because your children are seeing, especially you had daughters, for your children to see a woman, handling her business, being successful. So the fact that your children, I know that has to be a huge compliment to you. How does that feel that your kids, took on that profession? You guys are working together.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as an entrepreneur, you have an advantage because you can kind of take your kids with you.
Yeah.
Or they can see you working hard. And so you don't think it's a good thing, but it's actually a wonderful thing. But the fact that they're still involved in it at whatever level makes me really proud. And makes me feel like everything I did had a purpose.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That really is. One of the interesting things that I read when I was researching, because I was already familiar with you, but I learned something else I thought was great, is just your involvement with NAMI. So how important is it with just being involved, of course, with the community, but also being a steward for mental health?
Oh yeah, that's a passion I have. I was president of Women's Council of Realtors in New Orleans. And we did a fundraiser, and I wanted it to be catered to something dealing with mental illness. I had a brother that committed suicide at the age of 18. So I've always felt like if he had received some type of assistance, maybe he would still be here. Yeah. So we raised money for NAMI, and then I got involved on their board. And I just feel like if you're not helping the community or someone outside of yourself, what is the point of success? Yeah. I think you have to reach outside of yourself and into the community to really be considered successful. And, you know, and it fulfills you too. You know, you feel so much better when you're helping and making a difference.
I've had many personal struggles. I've gone through mental, physical, emotional abuse. I've also grew up with low self-esteem, not feeling my value, not understanding how worthy I was. And I was able to learn through the power of self-love to overcome those sinking feelings, to be healthy, healed, and whole. I know how hard it can be to just find your place. Some of us are still struggling. We want to find our place in this world, and we want to know our purpose. And sometimes that purpose may be being healthier. Sometimes that purpose may also be leaving that 9 to 5, leaving that toxic work environment. Sometimes that healing may look like just simply being healthy, happy, and loving yourself, being out of that low self-esteem. That's why I created Go Queen. I wanted to reach out to other women and show them that you may have been knocked down a few times, but you definitely will not be counted out. You can take that pain that you've experienced and you don't have to be ashamed. You can take that pain and you can build your purpose. Life is so short. We are not allotted the time that we arrogantly think that we have. We have to live in our dreams and purpose right now. So what's stopping you? Maybe you don't know how to manage your time properly. Maybe you're thinking, hey, I have this 9 to 5. I don't have the time to follow that dream, and I'll just put it off on the back burner. But one thing I can tell you that is guaranteed, each and every one of us has a day and a time when we will no longer be on this earth. So you don't have the time to waste anymore. As a purpose coach and brand strategist, I'm committed to helping women of color rise above their challenges and create purposeful and passion-driven brands. You can reflect your unique story. Let me be your guide in this journey of healing and growth. You don't have to let your past hold you back from a bright future. You can turn your pain into power. You deserve to win.
I want people to know that everything that you believe is happening to you is actually happening for you. That all things, if all things work together for your good, then that means that it's not over until you win. And I believe when I'm in my deepest despair, my darkest hours, I say, God, I know the word of God for me says that all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So if I believe that, God, then I know this is not the end, because this is not what winning looks like for me. So this has got to be working for me. How are you working this for my good? Back to those lyrics again. He worked it for my good like no one else ever could.
Can I take inventory of what's going on? Can I take a deep breath, notice it, say what it is, and then still exist here as I am? I think positivity is about existing anyway. Existing anyway. It's not easy to look at all of this, but if I just exist anyway, if I could just be. Do you know how many of us are not just being? And we're trying to combat the noise and we're trying to cut through all these sounds. If you're still, even with all that's going on, you still are you. We internalize all of the mayhem that's going on. And so we don't even know that we're still ourselves. We're still beautiful in this ugly world. So that's what's positive. What's positive is that you exist, and there's gratitude there.
That's beautiful. That really is. What have been some of one of the top highlights, and I'm sure that's one of them as well. What have been some of the just key highlights you would, recall just with your journey right now and also helping the community? What have been some of your top highlights?
So at one point I did a women's bill for Habitat for Humanity, where we got together and helped build a home that was going to a single mom. So that was a big thing. I served on the board of Women's Council of Realtors, which, helps empower women that are involved in real estate. That was phenomenal for me. Mm-hmm. And doing things with NAMI has been a big part of, my journey. And they keep me very busy with the organization. But we are fundraising. We're doing walks in support of those suffering with mental illness. And then our brokerage, we wanted that to be a pillar of our brokerage. So we give back a portion of the proceeds of our commissions to community involvement.
Wow, that's great. I love it. I love it. What are some of your self-care practices? Because, as women, we do so much. We hold a lot of hats, on a lot of different roles, and self-care is super important. So what are some of your self-care practices?
For me, exercise is a big one because it kind of helps me relieve stress. Mm-hmm. And I think part of being successful in my business, you have to be pretty healthy, and so working out keeps me pretty healthy. Mm-hmm. And meditation is important, just starting the day off with that so that I am not in chaos. And sometimes when I'm having a rough day, I may just go take a meditative walk or something just to kind of clear my head and calm down. So to me, that's self-care. Constantly learning is self-care. And just spending time with yourself. Whether that be I just want to sit out on my patio and read a book. Just dedicating time to myself, whether that's put on a calendar, but putting myself first, because if I'm not good, nobody else will be good. Yeah. And taking breaks. That's a big thing too. Planning breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Also, I know we talked about mental health. What do you do personally, to cater to your own mental health? Because it's easy to get overwhelmed as well, when you're busy and doing great things. And I know that you do cater to your self-care. How do you also cater to just making sure, your mental health is in check as well?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's saying no for me, because I get invited to be a part of organizations or sit on a board or do different things. And I realized I used to say yes to everything. Yeah. But now I'm saying no to a lot of things because I realize if I have my hands in everything, I'm no good. Yeah. Plus, I'm not loving myself, and that's not good for my mental health. So I've said no to a lot of things and try to hold on to the things that are most important for my mental health. And also just dedicating some time to myself where I'm not giving it to clients or family, but to me.
Yeah. Also, with what you're doing, what advice would you have for some young women who want to join, the real estate field? Real estate is a profession that is never going to end. I would think. I don't think that's something that AI could take over. Like we need, hopefully, but I just, it's a booming profession. I would say, do you have any advice for someone who wants to, join the real estate profession, especially young women?
Yeah, I would say, find yourself a really good mentor because you're going to need that in this business, and you want to get with a brokerage that is willing to hold your hand and help you through. Because in the beginning, it's going to be tough. You don't know anything. You're trying to figure out how to get clients. You're trying to figure out how to manage your contracts. So you need a brokerage that's going to take time with you to learn what you need to learn. And you want to get a mentor as well. And then just start networking with other agents. There's this community of real estate. We have a lot of networking events, a lot of organizations you can join to be around other like producing agents that you can learn from. So I would say just get yourself out there, connect with the right people, and you have to work hard. It's not an easy business. I think a lot of people think it is, but it's a lot of hard work. You have to be very resilient. But if you have people that you can call on and talk to, they can get you through those tough times.
Yeah. What was some of the things when you first started out? Because I know, like you've mentioned, the importance of mentorship. I think sometimes when people start any profession, sometimes people aren't necessarily prepared for the hurdles or challenges or even rejections that people face, in any profession, especially when it's something where it's more entrepreneur, where like they're like a sole, proprietor. Sometimes people just aren't prepared for no's or when things don't exactly go well. When you first started out, what would you say kept you going? Because it's so easy for sometimes people don't get to particular stages because they let that first, failure knock them down. So what were some of the things when you first started out that kept, propelled you, that kept you going?
I think having a strong why kept me going, because even I couldn't fall apart, and I think when you have something stronger and bigger than you, you have to put your personal feelings to the side. So for me, it was my daughters. For someone else, it could be financial independence or whatever that may be, but it needs to be a really, really strong why. And you have to toughen your skin. You may get 7 no's, but you just need that 1 yes. So if you look at it from the right attitude, I think just training yourself to be okay with hearing no and okay with being in a tough business. If you can just train yourself to just pick yourself up and just keep going and be resilient, you will make it in this business. But you have to have something that keeps you going.
Right. I wanted to ask you about self-love. Self-love is really important to me. And I feel like self-love really is the key to just be inspired, the key to not feel like teen single motherhood is, the final sentence. Self-love is the key to be successful, is the key to just have that confidence and love for yourself, to realize that, hey, you can do it, you can be successful. So what role has self-love played in your life, and what does self-love mean to you?
To me, self-love means having a purpose. It means knowing that through it all, that I have a reason to be here, I make a difference, and I deserve love. A lot of us, we've experienced difficult things in life. We may not have been brought up in the best atmosphere, but to know that between God and yourself, like, you can soothe yourself with love, and that can be journaling, that can be getting therapy, that can be whatever it takes for you to be whole. So I think self-love is just being whole with yourself. To me, it doesn't mean going to get pedicures and manicures. I think that's important, but that's not the real work. I think self-love is just finding yourself, understanding yourself, finding what makes you who you are, and understanding yourself, and not allowing people to take that away from you, protecting yourself. And it just, a lot of things fall into that, but that's important for you to be good at what you're doing in your business. That's important for you to be a good parent. If you don't love yourself, you're not the best parent. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
So I think it takes starting with you, and really, it used to be people look down on therapy. I think we all need a therapist.
Yeah. Yes.
To be honest, we all need some type of spiritual something that makes us realize that we are bigger than just this life we're in. So I think all those things fall into self-love.
Wow. I love everything that you said. And I definitely believe in therapy. It's so important. And I feel like there's more conversations about therapy, which is a plus. There's still some stigmas involved, and I think everyone should go to a therapist, just the same as we, hopefully some people are getting that annual checkup like they should with the doctor, or seeing their dentist, like, we don't put mental health in the same category as getting your regular, teeth cleanings, like getting your regular physical. You should regularly see a therapist. You don't need to see one, on a bi-weekly or monthly basis, great, but you should check in, to get your mental health and check on a regular basis. If you just go annually, just to unpack some things, it just can make such a huge difference in our lives. So I definitely thank you for saying that, because therapy is super important. So I want to ask you lastly, what's next? Is there anything we can expect from you? And also tell people how they can contact you. You have a lot of great information. Someone may want to reach out to buy a home, or just to learn more, even to learn more about being a realtor, or joining a profession as a broker. You have so much information. So how can people learn more, and what's next for you?
So what's next is I'm considering writing a book. That's kind of my next thing, if I can sit down and and really commit to it.
Yeah.
But that's on the agenda. I really want to start doing a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And not talking about real estate. I wanna talk to women like you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably next on the horizon personally. And then if they want to contact me, I think the best way is Instagram. I'm at Melissa_McClendon. That's probably the easiest way, because that has all my contact info, my phone number, email address. But I'm on Instagram at Melissa_McClendon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this conversation. It has been great. And I just appreciate how you've been really transparent and just saying, like, you've overcome obstacles to be where you're at. And I think that's so important, to let people know, hey, I overcame some obstacles, because sometimes people, they see a person at their success, and that's all they see. Sometimes they don't realize what people have, gone through to get to where they're at, and they overlook that sometimes. And I think when people are transparent about, hey, this is what I experienced to get here, it's a credit to them to show how resilient they are and how strong they are. So I definitely do appreciate everything that you shared in your conversation. So again, this is Miss Melissa McClendon, and please reach out to her if you have any questions, and follow her on IG so you can stay posted on all the great things that she has coming up. And again, this conversation really drives home that teen motherhood, any obstacles that we face, is not a final sentence. Like, you can achieve anything you put your mind to in life, whether that sounds like a cliche, but it really is true. All you have to do is believe in yourself and just put that dream in your heart, and you can achieve anything. You can make that dream come true. Just know that you're worthy. You're deserving of having the career that you want, the love that you want, the health that you want, whatever it is that you have put your mind to. You have that power to achieve that. So don't ever give up. So thank you guys for joining this conversation. You can catch this conversation and much more www.goqueen.com. So thank you guys for joining, and make sure you go love yourself.
That must have did this beat.